Let's take a look back at the highlights then of race number 2 in the GT4 Winter Series. It was a good start from Jamo Hartling, but he was struggling in the early stages to get that car turned in. Mercedes-AMG not liking those greasy conditions. And moving through the order very quickly was the number 31 W&S Porsche. Already up to P4 at this juncture as the pair of McLarens managed to get alongside the SR Motorsport Mercedes. Hartling was just about holding on to the lead as Leben and Charlie Hart were both challenging behind. But here came the Porsche, trying to move up the inside there of Charlie Hart as Tom Leben strayed wide. Hartling then went very wide indeed at the second part of the corkscrew. That gave Tom Leben the lead for a fleeting moment. Already up into third place by the time they got to the long straight at turn 15 was Alain Gabai. And Gabai was up to second place by the time they crossed the start line at the end of lap number 1. Unfortunately, Maximilian Hewitt was at the back after a tag there from Charlie Robertson, and Robertson, while he was making progress, would get a 5-second penalty for that collision. That was Gabai through into the lead down at the corkscrew at turn 8, and that lead would not be given up from there. Robertson moved past Charlie Hart for 4th position. The big BM was soon challenging Jamo Hartling for 3rd on the road. Of course, as an invitational car, it doesn't score points, but still a hindrance for Jamo as he was trying to chase down Tom Leben in at the number 77, his championship rival. Owen Hizzy and Charlie Hart had a little bit of contact coming out of turn 16 behind them, and Cedric Fuchs was getting involved as well. We saw lots of drivers going deep into the corners, struggling out there on the circuit to find purchase, to find grip, to find turn-in their cars. And a few instances of near contact. Owen Hizzy was determined to climb through the order and was having some great battles with the likes of Charlie Hart and Cedric Fuchs during this race. Cedric getting leaned on a little bit by Charlie Hart, the Cayman Trophy leader, again disrupting the main GT4 battles. But of course, Cedric has every right to fight for these overall positions, and fight he did. Unfortunately, Thilo Goss, all on his own, had a little spin going into turn 4 and 5, head in hands, very disappointed. Hopefully we get to see more of Thilo and his mighty sounding Aston Martin this weekend. That did not trigger a safety car. The car was collected under local yellows. We got to see some interesting battles further back. And unfortunately, we saw this spin for Daniel Blickler in the final 10 minutes of the race. Only 8 minutes to go when this car beached itself in the gravel, and that was a late safety car period. Alain Gabai rejoining the race then, no longer with a 12-second lead, but with a McLaren right behind him. But that was no trouble for Alain Gabai, who had mastered these wet conditions. W&S Motorsport, if they had made tweaks to the setup, they were the right tweaks. Some contact towards the end of the race between Joachim Bolting and Nico Grundle, but no issues for Alain Gabai at the front. The Porsche Cayman from W&S Motorsport, victorious at Aragon. So Gabai ultimately only winning by 1.2 seconds over Tom Leben, who takes 3 points back in the championship scrap with SR Motorsport in the overall standings. Hartling finishes in 3rd place with the penalty, of course, for the BMW of Charlie Robertson. Cedric Fuchs, therefore, finishing in 4th place as well, ahead of Owen Hizzy, the Pro-Am winner. Charlie Hart in 6th place. Charlie Robertson down to 7th after the penalty. 8th place for Joachim Bolting in Pro-Am, finishing 2nd in class ahead of Nico Grundle. In 10th position, Max Hewitt for Racing Spirit of Le Mans. In 11th place, the last of the finishers, Luisa Kala, who was 2nd in Cayman Trophy behind Cedric Fuchs. Daniel Blickler ended up in the gravel, and unfortunately Thilo Goss ended up in the Armco.